Okay, so my buddy said a couple days ago, nobody builds a good trailer. And I 100% get what he's saying, because all these mods that I've had to do to this trailer, it would have been nice if I could buy a trailer that had them all done. But not everybody needs everything, and I get it. Manufacturers got to build a trailer with the price point. You know, they got to keep costs down. They can't put everything on every trailer because they got to keep costs down so they can actually sell trailers that people actually buy them. They're like, oh, that's a good price, and I'll buy that trailer. And then you get it home and you can find out, oh, it doesn't have any D-rings. All it's got is these stake pockets for tie downs. Oh, it doesn't have trailer jacks. And when I load something heavy, I want trailer jacks on it. Oh, the ramps stow inside, and I don't like that. I want the ramps to where I can just raise them and lower them, and for, you know, I don't have to pick up an 80-pound ramp twice to load it inside and then unload it every time I want to take something off. Spare tire mount was a spare tire mount that was right here. Great, but I don't have a box to hold anything, so I had to put the box on and move the spare tire there. You know, the jacks worked well, the tongues worked well, the hitches worked well. Haven't had to use the emergency brakes yet, thank goodness. The disconnect brakes, the lights have worked well. It's got good LEDs on it. So, and I think most trailers are coming with that, like that nowadays. The wiring, though, we made a mistake, just to share this with you, on this back piece right here. We take the fender off a couple times, either to put a real wide 4-wheel drive on it that was too wide to fit between the fenders. We pop the fender off, or we take it off to open a door on a car that was real low to the ground, and we tightened the bolt onto one of the wires, the brown wire. The marker light wire, and lost the marker light, so it's melted the wire, the brown wire, from here all the way forward, and so I've got to replace that. So I thought, well, that wiring's all tucked in right here inside the frame, just like right in that corner. It's all tied up there, and so if you weld right here, you're going to melt everything again. So I thought, well, before I replace all that wiring, I'll go ahead and weld on my other D-ring that I would put on. I've got another D-ring I want to put here, and I've got another stake pocket I want to put here. I've got another stake pocket I want to put back here. So I've got a few welding on both sides. So I've got a little bit more welding. And then the fenders came up, and I was like, I hate these fenders. This is one thing I hate about this trailer, is they're thin, and I get it, it's a fender, right? It's just meant to block flying dirt and mud and whatever. But when you get out of the Jeep or you get out of a truck or whatever, and you step on it, then it just bends. And this one's bent. It's all dented on the top. I've had to bend it back up several times, put a board underneath the tire and pry it back up because it's bent down so badly. And you can see it's creased back here. And they flex out and they trap trash. And the more trash that gets in there, the more it flexes out. So like this one right here isn't as bad as the other side. The other side was really bad. But it has rocks and leaves and all kinds of stuff in here that's pushing the fender out like that. And you can see this one's kind of had hard life too. And so for logging and for that kind of stuff, this just isn't working. It isn't working for almost everything. So they're coming off, and I'm going to use some 1/4-inch flat plate that's 10 inches wide. And you can see I've got it started here. I've got an 18-inch piece here for the back part. I'll cut an 18-inch piece of the front part. I'm putting about 50-degree, 55-degree angle. That's a little steeper than I want, but I got to get the height to match the old fender. So that old fender is 8 inches off the top of the frame there. So it's 8 inches up from here. So basically when I put this piece of metal right here along this mark right here, hopefully this is coming out in the camera, this part right here is 8 inches up in the air. And I'm going to make it just a little bit higher, like a 1/4 inch higher, just because this is 1/4 inch steel here. And hopefully I'm getting this in the camera, sorry. There's my mark. And so that's the angle I'll follow right there. Whoops. And so then this top edge of the metal here is 8 inches off the frame right here. So that'll give me enough clearance inside the tires. It'll match the original fenders. And then I'll be able to drive over them. I'll probably end up welding. I started to get diamond plate, but I had this laying around from another project, this 11-foot piece here. I've got to buy a little bit more, but I'm just going to go ahead and use this up. I'll just weld in some little cross pieces, some little pieces of flat across here. There we go. Or maybe some little small 1/2-inch angle iron, you know, there, and there, just to get some traction. So if you're in 4-wheel drive, you can pull up it. And then the same thing on the other side if you're backing over this way. Diamond plate might be better and would look cool, or tread plate, or whatever you call this stuff. Okay, so yeah, I just realized before I do the wiring, I want to get these things welded on and just go ahead and do the fenders, and then I'll finish the wiring, fix the wiring problem, and then be done. So just back here, just for example, what I don't like about, just not happy with the wiring that people do, and they did a pretty good job on this trailer. I mean, it's wire loom all the way around. Look, so that's nice. They didn't leave bare wires in here. It's got little wire clips that hold it in place, but you can see up here how close it is to the inside of the frame rail, and I've actually got it pulled away there. But you can see here where it all melted, actually melted the wire loom further up. And you can see where the wires are hanging out of the wire loom because the wire loom actually melted from the brown marker light wire being grounded to the frame. It was just sucking power, like you can imagine it was. And so it melted all this. So anyway, I'll pull this all away. I'll get the fenders welded on, I'll get my other pieces welded on, and then I'll get this put back in place. But so they did a pretty good job in here, I think. What I don't like about what they did though was right here, I can't fit under here, is all that's wire loomed, and they put this nice guard right here to block the tail light from rocks bouncing up and busting out the tail light from the back. And that's awesome. They didn't do it for the license plate though. The license plate that hangs on that fender right there. So the license plate gets the crap beat out of it, and I've used a piece of aluminum on it, and it's just all beat up, and so I'm going to make it out of steel. But look at this. I mean, that's awesome that they covered it, but that's bouncing and wire. This is going to short out someday too. So that, you know, that attention to detail just isn't there, and that's something I wouldn't let go when I rewire a trailer. That's going to get, you know, that's going to get wrapped in wire loom, electrical tape all the way around it, so that's protected and kept from being chafed. Same thing right here, where that's hitting that right there, that's just going to chafe through eventually anyway. So, does anybody build a good trailer? I guess yes and no. If you get lucky and those kind of things where the wire's going to chafe there eventually don't give you a problem, then it's a good trailer. I mean, the melted wire is our fault. You know, that's not the trailer manufacturer's fault by any means. So anyway, let's get this started. I'm going to start getting these welded on, and I'm just going to build this one over here, and then I'm going to match this side over here based on how that one comes out. Okay, we're going to cut this other piece to match this one. This is 18 inches of 1/4 inch. It's 10 inches wide. We're going to use this Bauer Portaband from Harbor Freight, and have it on the maximum. Okay. This doesn't not have a deep throat on it. It's not, so there's the throat from there to there. So it's, you know, less than 5 inches. So I need to cut 5 inches and 5 inches. So what I'm doing is I'm just cutting it vertically, and then I'm just laying it over so I get more reach out of the blade from both sides, and then I can cut the whole thing with the bandsaw. Okay, I don't think it would do much more than 10 inches though. This is a Milwaukee 14 TPI. So I know a lot of people commented on the bandsaw blade that came with this bandsaw, but mine didn't come with the blade. So I can't comment on the factory one from Harbor Freight. Kind of hard to keep a straight line. Okay, so there I'm bottomed out. You can see I didn't come very far. Now we'll just lean it over. Try not to turn our blade. See, I'm not the straightest cutter with a bandsaw, but this will do for what I'm doing, for the project I'm doing. And of course I could cut a lot straighter with a plasma cutter and with, yeah, there's other stuff, right? So got the grinding done. Got that. Got this little weld kind of ground out there so I can get my piece up against here and still have it flush. So you can see where 10 inches comes out to. These other fenders were 9.5 inches wide. So these are actually going to stick out a tiny bit further. So you can see where 9.5 hit. And then now these will be 10 inches. So that'll be good. Let's get them tacked on and burned in. So tacked. This is right about 8 1/4. So that'll give me a full 8 inches on the inside. So it's a little bit more than, just a tiny bit more than the other fenders, but by 1/4 inch, but I got to make up for the thicker steel on the top. So well, plenty clearance for the wheels, tires. But when the trailer flexes up and flexes down, because we do take it off-road sometimes, well, a lot of times, hauling wood or going to the trailhead, that might get used. I don't know. The drawback of that is, that'll be nice when I'm climbing in the Jeep, because the step from there into the Jeep is a lot. So if I can stand on that and step in the Jeep, that'll be good. But the drawback is a low profile vehicle, I might not be able to open the door over it, or a lower profile vehicle. Have to get out Dukes of Hazzard style. So 3/4 inches taller out here than the other side. 3/4 inches taller right here. So this is a 1/4 inch. So it may be a little, somewhere around a 1/2 inch taller on the inside. I don't know if I'm going to leave it like that or cut these ends a little shorter. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to sleep on it. All right, so I overshot my 8 inches here. This is 8 inches wide, this 1/8 thick. I was hoping it would end up here and be up there, but I wanted to make sure I had plenty of clearance for my tires. So I did go up, just, I thought was like a 1/4 inch, but it looks more like a 1/2 inch there. So I was hoping to just kind of fill it all in, kind of butt this part up against the bottom of this, and then have this just a tiny like 1/8 gap here, and then just go ahead and close that. But what I'm gonna end up doing is just taking another like 1 inch, 1/8 inch thick flat and just run it across here and just go ahead and grind that and then weld that on. And I'll just stitch it. I'm probably not gonna burn it all the way in. So I wish I had done that better. My fix for that could have been to cut these off shorter. And then if I cut these shorter though, this piece will be too short to fit between them if I cut like this much of it off here. So, but then what I could do is cut those tacks and go ahead and lower this a little bit. And so I don't know what's easier, to do all that or to just leave my plans the way they are, so that I already have a template to match the other side, and I'll go ahead and just fill in this gap with a little piece of 1/8 flat. I was thinking about cutting this off. This is the inside edge for that old fender, that where it would sit. It's got just a couple stitch welds here, but there's, both of them are behind this flange here, so I would either have to take the flange off or try to get a chop saw behind it. And this piece is not long enough. It's almost long enough, but it's not quite long enough to go this whole distance, so I'd still have a gap somewhere I'd still have to fill in. So I'll just pick up some flat this afternoon when I go by the steel yard. And yeah. Okay, so I marked this one edge. I just set the metal up against here, marked the one back edge. This piece was like that. Marked it, and then cut it off with the bandsaw. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off the bandsaw. Okay, just using that as a little breeze block. By the way, you can weld outside with MIG. I do it all the time. It can't be super windy. You have to block the wind. You have to put up with the spattering or the porosity. If it does blow the gas out of your weld, I just keep my torch closer, kind of dig it in, and it does fine. So just have to burn that in right there. But I got, so this is 3/16 1 inch right here, and I just put it along the edge here, cut off the ends with the bandsaw, and then I just welded along the top edge, just kind of a straight stringer, and then ground it all flat. So I did the same thing here with this 1/8 right here. So I welded along there and all along there, and then ground it off with this. This is not the world's best grinder, but it's bought it in 2002 to build a 30x30 carport, steel carport, and it's the 9-inch. Is that what it is? Anyway, yeah, 9-inch. And I use it pretty hard. It never gets hot. I really wail on it. I put a lot of weight on it. I lean my whole body weight into it, and it cuts like crazy, and it's still going 18 years later. So, I mean, people bash Harbor Freight tools, but okay, whatever. And I know I bought a couple junk ones from there, and I've returned them, or they've burned up on me and I threw them away. But they're not all like that. So, and you know, for $49 or whatever it cost, it was worth the price. This is what it looks like on the inside. I'm probably going to go ahead and just, even though this is closed all the way on the outside, all the way around here, I'll probably just run some stitches in here every few inches or so, all the way around and down here.